Good.
All right. Some leg action today. So it's working on that single leg strength, split squats. This is the third week we've done them now. And so they're building up in weight if you can. So it's down to 4 reps per leg, and try to progress from where you were before. You may want to switch to a barbell on these depending on your loading setup. So we started with like dumbbells or kettlebells in the hand, but at some point you're going to outstrip what you have or even what would be comfortable to hold. So I'm going to switch to bar this week myself. And then some other things down the line and our lower body stretching work at the end. So let's go ahead and warm up. So we'll actually start with upper or lower body. We'll touch on the upper body a little bit just kind of as we get into some of the other stuff. So start with our hip circles. See how everything's feeling. 3 per side. Yeah, I think at least the next several of those Wednesday classes, I think we'll do from the the track there before football and practices start happening. Maybe in August we'll use that. Then we'll switch back to the park. It's nice having the distances already marked off because of the field, and it was really pretty quiet. There was just a couple people doing their own running workouts and then 2 guys doing a boxing workout in the field. It was like nothing really major going on, which was nice. Get some spinal circles in. And finish up top with a couple of shoulder circles. Okay, so then we're going to jump into a couch stretch or death stretch, whatever you want to call them. So if I'm head over to the wall, and since we're just warming up, keep making it on the mellower side as far as how intense you're going to make it. So set up somewhat conservatively, and we'll do about 40 seconds, so nothing too major here, but just check, make sure you're nice in the line. If there's a kick in or out, that little bit of a pelvic tuck. Light glute squeeze, check your ribs, make sure that your ribs are down. Ooh, a little tight quads after the sprinting and sled last night, unsurprisingly. Where I get a double dose of doing this, because later on in the day when I actually do their workout, I'll do a second round. Okay, let's switch sides. Check your alignment. See this side a little wonkier. Same thing, pelvic tuck, glute squeeze, ribs down. All right, pop out of that. Then we'll come to the 90-90 position. And we'll do the basic prep here, which is where we're going to work internal and external. But let's start with the internal today. So that means we're going to sit up. I'm going to rotate toward this trailing leg. We'll spend just maybe 20 seconds or so there. And subtly what we're trying to do is sit this hip back. Then we'll rotate forward, square off, and keeping the chest up. Relax forward over that front leg. Open up the outside of the other hip. Okay. Come up out of that, we'll switch around and same thing over on the other side. Setting up. Square off and rotate toward that back side. And folding forward. Pop up out of that. Prep stretch. And then next thing then, form a piece. We have slant board handy. Knock out about 20 of the pull-up step downs per leg. So that's where we're torso is vertical. Just these guys. Pick an easy angle where you can get your VMO kind of pumped up. If you don't have a slant board handy, stick your heel on like the head of your dumbbell, something like that. Or then there's always the third option of on flat ground, just reaching the heel further forward, essentially creates the same thing. So 20 quick mini reps on one side and then on the other. And as soon as you're done with that, we'll go into the ATG split squats on a semi-elevated step, or whatever kind of step you need to give you the best stretch forward. And that is these guys, unloaded, bring your knee forward, hammy to calf, working front to back. Let's go with about 10 per side, pausing in the bottom position for a moment each rep, just kind of getting all opened up there. Nice, Emil. Got little steps going there. You pick those up?
Yeah. Do you find yours wobble?
Mine don't really wobble at all now.
I thought it was weird about mine. They do kind of wobble a little bit.
Huh. Yeah, they're surprisingly stable.
I think I got them mid-pandemic, so they might have been trying to crank them out, so the quality may not be there.
Yeah, these have been around a while. Okay. So A1, A2, so we have the rear foot elevated split squat, 4 per leg. Now, no particular tempo here. We'll just control down through the range of motion. And this, you want to use a step, probably not terribly high. I think I use roughly this, which is either 2 or 3 risers on this thing. And so we want to be here in this position, toe on the object. We're seeking straight down. Knee will come forward over the toes some, but we're also, it's not like the ATG one where we're trying to get massively far forward. So that's the split squat version we're doing there. So now that we're getting heavier for sure, you definitely want to take a number of warm-up sets. Like I'm going to do a number of them unloaded first. I'll hold some lighter dumbbells for a set or two before I get to my first work set, and then I'll build up over the 4 sets. So that's the kind of the idea here is we're building up to 4. Ideally, you want to probably be, if you have the option, be at least 10 pounds heavier than we were last week. Both just because you should be a little bit stronger if you did it, and it is 1 less rep per set than last week as well. After you've done both legs, then rest somewhere 40, 60 seconds, and then we're going to do the split stance kettlebell swing. 10 per side. That's the one we've been doing a lot again, where it's essentially like a single leg, single arm swing with the opposite arm swing. The back foot is there. Here's a kickstand. So one leg, one glute and hamstring is really driving that motion. Okay. And on that one, maybe working up heavier, depending on what you have for loading. You could start building up. Usually this is something we do on the moderate side of weight. So you could try working up as long as it's all feeling good and safe. So go ahead, hit that. And that is part A. For those later on, if you don't have weights heavy enough to make four reps challenging, of course, then I would choose a higher rep range to work through, maybe working up to leading like AMRAP -2, where you're doing as many as you can, but leaving a couple in reserve. Yeah, good call on the dumbbell swing. Yeah, if you have a dumbbell for these split swings, probably having it long axis like so is the best way. Making sure you give yourself enough of a split that you can not smack yourself. Work. You need to rest between legs on the split squats once you get up to heavy, or want to rest between the swings between legs. It's definitely not a bad idea. Near the end. Emil, you're getting quite a collection of dumbbells now.
There's some sort of, that's for sure.
It's nice. weight makes an interesting noise. It's like a shake weight.
Yeah. Yeah, these plates all rattle around a little. And these.
Oh. Wings in unison. And thinking back to some things we focused on last block, remember the breathing, full excursion of breath with the swings. Is that 4 for you guys?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, catch your breath. And then part B is skater squats. And notice it's the ladder. So it's 5 sets, but each set the reps go down. So the first set is 5 per leg, rest, then 4 per leg, rest, then 3, 2, 1. So the idea here is that you work your way lower in depth or up in difficulty of variation to match the rep range, finishing with kind of like a heavy max sort of thing. So ways to scale this, of course, are, you know, the old classic step, right? I can find a height I can do 5 with, that's fairly challenging. I'll try a tiny bit lower on the next rep and so on and so forth, working all the way to touching the knee to the ground. Now, if you're able to touch your knee to the ground and it's not like your 1 rep max, shall we say, maybe you can even do that on the set of 5. I know a few of us can. Then you may want to find other variations that are more difficult. So that could be holding dumbbells in your hand. It could be doing it off of a deficit. So if you can do the floor, can you stand on a barbell plate or two and still touch your knee to the floor? Or maybe a yoga block, something like that. Not a ton of depth available, but I think I've done them off of something probably this tall before. So that's a way you could work up to it. You could also switch to pistol squats if those are more challenging. Oh, and there's also switching to the shrimp skater squat, which is the one where you hold your knee like this and work to a target. So work your way through appropriate scaling there. This will just take probably a few minutes, like maybe 5 minutes or so ish to get through this, 5, 6, and then we'll be on to part C. And as always on these sorts of things, start with the weaker leg first so that you're going to keep the 2 legs pace. The weak leg leads the way. Strong work, guys. Good. Remember on these skaters, like the more forward reach and kind of back reach with the knee allows a little greater depth. There's a lot of kind of extending that happens as you lower. And also think about your sternum kind of lining up with whichever knee is working. So you're going to turn slightly into that working leg as you internally rotate that hip.
Rest between, or just keep going right through?
Yeah, rest about 45 seconds once you get each set done. You'll see these for a few weeks here. These skaters are going to progress in kind of a strength or lower rep week like this week is, or in week 1, and then a higher rep like last week. I think we were doing 10 to 15 reps per leg, whatever. So those heights will be higher generally. And it's possible a few of these stages of the ladder will have to be the same. You know, if it was everything you had to make 5 reps to a certain height, chances are 4 reps is going to be pretty challenging now just with the fatigue accumulating. So maybe it's only near the end that you can really push the range. If you need to take a little extra rest for the final one, get to that point just to try and get your best shot at getting a 1 rep benchmark, you absolutely can do that. Yeah, great work. Very good. These are coming along.
That was a good set.
Yeah. Good, yeah. Shrimp to the floor.
Ooh,
That it.
first time I've ever been able to do that.
Yeah, that's no joke.
That like last inch before the knee hits the ground, I can feel my strength change. Like I want to fall to the ground rather than being able to control it.
That's what I find. There's that deficit at the bottom, right?
Yeah, it's like
Sometimes you can still work through it by keeping tension.
yeah.
Yeah, I was playing with these with like a several second pause at the bottom, and I realized I definitely can't go all the way down when I do that. I can cut out that bottom. Yeah.
I find when I get to that last inch, I want to go up on my toe to get it, like on the.
Yeah,
that
that
helps.
actually, yeah, and that's actually okay. Your heel is generally acceptable to come up on shrimp squats as you're working depth. At some point, you run out of ankle range of motion, and being strong off that ball of foot is actually where we want to be. So that can definitely happen. Okay, got those. Okay, range work. We chipped through 3 rounds. A lot of this stuff we did in the Tuesday class last week. I will go through each one by one in the first round along with you, and then we'll just continue kind of like we do on these often. So the first one is 5 incline Jefferson curls. So slant board or heels on a dumbbell. Oops, I'm sorry, not heels, toes on a dumbbell. Those of you with one of these slant boards, probably having your toes near the top, and then you want to hold your dumbbell or an empty barbell. And it's a classic, tuck the hips first, curl your way down, legs stay locked, reach forward at the bottom with a little bit of a pause, curl the hips back, under and through, back up tall. So 5 nice good reps there. Dang, Emil, yeah. Range. So both of you are getting pretty bendy now. You're both going to run into a problem here shortly, which is that you're going to run out of range. So as you get better at these incline Jefferson curls, and if you're able to get your bar or dumbbell to the floor, that means you got to figure out a way to elevate your slant board slightly. And I don't mean make it a steeper angle. I mean, you could do that, but that would really just be targeting your calves. What I mean is like set it up on your step or or box, or anything you can raise the height of it up to give you that clearance you need. And the second one, we're going to go back to our good old friend, the couch stretch that we did in the warm-up, but you'll want a light dumbbell or kettlebell along with you. And this is where we're going to spend 30 seconds. And the idea is that you take your weight, you press it overhead in the stretch side's arm. Keep it set up. Press that thing out, nice and tall, ribs down, glutes squeeze. And then for that 30-second work time, you're kind of driving your hip forward, trying to keep that pressed up. So if you can think about trying to get your hand holding the weight and the stretch side knee that's on the ground as far apart as possible, but without arching your back. That's a good little cue to kind of think about. So if you want to get into position, I can time off the 30 seconds. And if you don't have a weight handy, you know, even your empty hand reaching for the sky. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Can totally work here. Press that up, pelvic tuck, shift the hip slightly forward, kind of like pulse the hip forward just at that last little end range of like the last inch. Really isolates it to that hip flexor nicely, doesn't it? 3, 2, 1. We'll switch sides. Okay, here we go, and begin. Awesome, guys. 5 more seconds. Okay, and done. Next we have elevated pigeon. I've just got kind of a clunky setup here, but this is where we'll have a high bench, high box, couch, ledge, something you can put your foot and knee up on in a kind of a 90-degree cross bend. If you don't have anything at all handy that works for that, you can always do a floor pigeon or 90-90 type thing, can totally work too. Okay, and this one's going to be 30 seconds each side also. Note to myself never to use that setup as to actually do. I usually double stack the 2 benches, but the other one that's super hard to wheel around is way at the far end.
Is there any arch to the back here?
So yeah, thinking about keeping the back arch, generally we'll isolate that hip a little better. So you can think about arching, though it is okay certainly to round over. The goal here is getting that head to foot eventually, and some rounding is going to be essential. Okay, I'm going to change sides. Go. All right. And then we have 5 frog push-ups and 10 second in the upright position. So the frog, remember, is we're going to be on the ground, feet point out, we're going to drive the knees out. Front, kind of like so. And then once we're in position, we want a strong arch in the back here. I'm going to bend and push up, and as I push up, I'm pushing back and I'm driving my knees out. I'm arching my back as strongly as I can here. So we do 5 push-ups, trying to deepen the arch and drive the knees apart. And then on the 5th one, trying to come upright, holding that position, arch back as upright as you can for 10 seconds. And that is the frog. 5 of those push-ups. 10 seconds, which you can count that out yourself. Just go back. Ideally, we see your hips in line with your knees if I was looking at you from the side. And then 5 pancake good mornings. So for most, you'll probably need some sort of an elevation, whether it's a step or a yoga block or 2 yoga blocks, something to raise your butt on a little bit. We're going to drive the legs out to the side. There's a few in the group probably can do this off the floor. So a lot of times I can do them on the floor, but I still like to do the elevated ones, at least the first set. And here we're keeping our back mostly straight, but not necessarily entirely. And leaning down, a good point of tension, pausing, and coming back up. So it's going to be an unloaded good morning. Can be done with like a weight plate on your back or something eventually, but I don't think anyone is really probably at a point where we need to do that yet. So 5 of these, I like to work in a little deeper range of motion as you go. Start conservatively, and over the rounds you can add. Okay, then our final one here is the 30-second side split iso hold. Now, again, we want to be pretty conservative on these. We're just trying to build strength in the groin, which is very commonly undertrained area. It's good to probably have some object in front of you just as support and just to know it's there if you need it. So for this example, I drug this bench over. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to just walk my feet out. Now, important point, as I walk my feet out, I'm not just walking my feet out. I am actually trying to excessively arch my back and hold that same tension that you had in that frog. So as you're going wider, you're arching, you're creating tension. You want to slide it out, feet flat, to a point that you feel you're going to be able to hold for 30 seconds. And I would suggest not going too far. So you don't want to go to your absolute end range. So you're not going to hold that for 30 seconds. Okay, so if you're in it, Jared, you can kind of count. The surface that you're on will make a big difference here. If you're on a slick floor, second time for you, Emil. You know, that's going to certainly change the width you can go. If you're on a very grippy floor with grippy shoes, it's going to make you be able to go deeper. For about 15 seconds. I think that there's value in training all those methods. I personally have been using a kind of a combination of shoes on the rubber gym floor and done. I will put the little carpet strip down and use the furniture sliders, and I'll do it off that where there's very little resistance. And of course, it's not nearly as wide when I do that. And then I do a much lower one where I very carefully get myself into position. And that kind of covers the whole range. Okay, we got through 1 round. So now the next 2 should go significantly quicker. So you're going to bust right into 5 incline Jefferson curls, elevating that the wedge if you are bottoming out. Five, nice and smooth. You could also slightly inch your way up and wait by the final round on these Jefferson curls. It's an option. Then we're to our overhead couch stretch as soon as you're done with that. Go. 10 seconds. And switch sides. There we go. Think about hand and knee as far apart as you can get them. Stretch that lateral line out a little bit here as well, down the side of the body. 3, 2, 1. Elevated pigeon. Looking over here at the weight rack, and I was like, where's those weights? And I realized, oh yeah, I didn't unload my car last night from I had no idea, you know, I'd never really used this new dog sled because we got it after the gym closed. And I haven't really used it here. So I didn't really know how much weight it would take. And plus I've never used anything on the artificial turf like that. So turned out I brought a lot more weight than I needed. Switch sides. That sled in and of itself isn't exactly light. It's Emil, your pigeon has really come along, right? Yeah.
This comes up a lot in the press work I've been doing for a while.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely improved a lot. Okay, 5 frog push-ups, 10-second upright hold on, last breath. And I'll let you count the 10 seconds out because it's not likely you guys will be ready for that at exactly the same time.
Keeping your hips and knees parallel. When you go down into the push-up, the hip comes a little forward, right?
It'll come a little bit forward, yeah.
And then you sort of push back into it.
Exactly, yeah. It's just that we don't want to come way forward. It's not like you're trying to travel forward and straighten out. So that little bit like what you did is exactly correct.
Okay.
And then 5 of the pancake good mornings. In your own cadence here, but I would lower over a few seconds, hold a second or two at the bottom, and then back up and slowly try to work out a little bit deeper the second round if you can. Crampage.
Yeah.
And then we'll jump right up and hit this iso side split hold. I've been using yoga blocks to measure my iso side split hold. Here we go. Slowly working from here. I had to do the numbers. Let's see, it's this, and then it's this is shorter, and then this, and then I think it's that. Each one is a tiny step lower. 10 seconds to go. And then we'll bust quickly into that third round, unless you have to run right at 7:30. It's 7:26, so there's a little bit of time. And got the ISO. Incline Jefferson curls for 5.
That incline really changes the balance.
Yeah.
Harder for me to balance that way.
And then we're on to 30-second overhead couch. And 3, 2, 1. A lot more open. Great overhead shoulder position also, Neil. You can see that's really come around too. Switch sides.
So it's all slow progress.
What's that?
It's all slow progress, but progress.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Here we go. Did I see you grab the shoulder program also?
I did, yeah. I'm super interested to try that out.
Cool. Yeah, I did it over the last what I finished maybe a month and a half ago, but I did it over the spring, and yeah, I felt really good. Dial in those numbers and get the strength levels up, and along with all the other stuff you do, yeah, it should be good. Okay, switch elevated pigeon.
The shoulders have been particularly good this week. I had some body work done on Sunday. That was some of the most potent and intense body work on the shoulders that I think I've ever had.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
And switch sides. Do you have a someone you go to that you really like for that?
I got somebody recommended to me through a friend. And they're at East Bridge Collective. Lady named Amy Knight. They take OHSU's insurance, so I met my deductible, so it's only $27 for a massage.
Oh wow,
Nice.
So
that's good. Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay, frog push-ups. 5 with the 10-second hold on the last one. pancake good mornings, and then the side split ISO. I know everyone's excited to get on those side split ISOs. All right, side split ISO to wrap it up. Here we go, slide out, get that strong anterior tilt. Good core tension. I find the more, this is very much a high tension strength exercise. The more tension I tend to make fist, I fire my lats. I'm able to get out to a significantly wider and stronger feeling position. 10 seconds to go. 3, 2, 1. All right, that is it.